Welcome to another guide on how you mine effectively on Starscape. In this video, we'll be going over how you probe safely and effectively, what the purpose of each ship class is and the recommended setup on each ship class, and showcasing the Yukon. So make sure you watch until the end. In the clip above, the ship we are using is a Mako Mark II. The Mako is part of the Marlin Line of ships, which features fast ships with lower mining speeds that allow players to run away from pirates. The Marlin Line also has a base signal distance of 3000, making it harder to spot and harder to disrupt. Upgrades that the Marlin Line uses would be ultralight chassis, rapid bolt, and tractor beams. Despite an increase in safety against other players, this ship is much less efficient to mine with, as you can still use a warp logging technique, which we will cover later. This makes the Marlin Line inferior to the Otter line of miners. In this clip, the ship used is a Honey Badger. The Honey Badger is part of the Otter line of ships. The Otter line of ship is the other line of mining ship that sacrifices some speed in return for higher mining speeds. Recommended upgrades for this line of ship are Patron Nanobots, Rapid Bolts, and Tractor Beams. The Rapid Bolts will allow even greater mining speeds than what the ship already offers. The Otter and Marlin lines are recommended for newer players who just started playing the game. For players who have enough resources to build larger ships, please pay attention to the next part of the video. In this clip, the ship being used is a Kodiak. Ships of these types require miner turrets and tractor beams to operate and has an increased mining efficiency so that it will mine faster than regular warships. Even though miners look defenseless and it can seem like a better idea to equip an actual warship with turrets and miners to mine, you can simply warp log in order to avoid being pirated. We'll be going through how you can warp log in this video as well, so please watch until the end. All in all, warship miners allow multi-boxing, a process in which a player uses multiple accounts on one computer to mine and secure systems for more Coralite and Reknite. Regardless of whether you can multi-box, you can always bring these miners out into wild for higher grade resources and warp log if you see a player. I will now be going over how you probe safely and effectively on Starscape. As you can see, I've launched my scanner probe before warping to another planet. By warping between planets while you probe, you effectively ignore all the drones as they won't lock onto your ship before you warp out. If you arrive at the destination ahead of time, you can click on another circle, which sends your ship towards the planet it represents. When you are probing, you should make sure your probe is moving in a square and moving in after a lap is completed. This allows for the maximum amount of space you can cover before the probe runs out of time, and you can find most of the anomalies in the system. Anomalies that you should go to are ATs, ALs, AAs, ANs, MTs, CMs, and FOs. ATs and ALs consist of different types of resources except for Ignisium. AAs consist of all Axnet and ANs consist of all Narcores. If you're looking for basic resources, you should visit MTs as they have a full pristine ring of Coralite, Reknite, or Jellium. CMs allow you to find ice, while FOs sell premium items that you can use for your warships, including tier 4 war mods. You can also find WHs, wormholes that lead you to random parts of spaces that in rare cases will exist for up to 2 weeks. You can also use these wormholes along with FOs to generate a large amount of credits through means of hauling, which we will go through in another one of these guides. I will now be explaining how warp logging works so you can run away from pirates at any given moment. Warp logging is a process of logging out during intersystem warps so that a player cannot damage your ship when they're trying to pirate you. The clip being shown now demonstrates a time during warp where you can warp log safely. Logging out at any time during this warp process will guarantee your ship to despawn and ensure your ship's safety if there are ships in the entry system or when someone warps in your system where you're at. As you can see, the amount of time you have to warp log is dependent on how good your internet and PC is, as you'll have more time to time your log if you're on a computer with a slower loading time. However, you must remember not to warp log between planets, as your ship will not despawn, and the enemy ship that's chasing you will be able to find you and destroy you. The Yukon is a destroyer-class miner released with 3 other miner hauler ships on the 10th of April, bolstering some 6 miner turrets. Despite only using the Yukon for a couple hours, I personally think the Yukon is very worth it. The Yukon will pay off if you mine for a longer period of time and warp log according to my warp logging tips to avoid any piracy. And despite the high initial cost, The 50% increase in mining speed over the Kodiak will make it an extremely worthy investment if you cannot multi-box. If you're looking for a true endgame goal, the Yukon is what you should be aiming to get. This mining guide is designed to help newer players know what to do in order to progress in this game and different tricks that will ensure their safety when they are mining in the wild. This is all for this guide, and I hope you have taken something out of it. Peace.